Hi guys, I'm Rachel. In today's tutorial, I'll teach you how to create an iridescent portrait using the oil tool with the Color Therapy app. Using pastel colors, I'll show you how to paint a portrait with loose brush strokes in an unconventional way. So I want to show you here a very quick inspiration or reference photo that I found from the internet, and I really like that we just have some very simple, light pastel colors, but it's very loose. Then there's some pops of red here and there to highlight the emphasis. Starting with the Skin Shades palette, I'm going to choose the third color on the top row and just tap to fill that into the face. I'm also going to just tap in the eyebrows and lips too. Now select the oil tool. You'll be using size 1 all the way up to 65. I usually like to start off with large brush strokes at first. So let's start off with size 65 and opacity at 40. Now I'll be using colors from the pastel palette for the face, as well as a few colors from the Vibrant palette. For now, I'm also gonna just tap to fill in the hair blue, so we just have a base color. To start off, I'm just gonna select one of the purples from the pastel palette and just start to add in some wide strokes across the face, kind of where shadows might be. So under the chin and where the nose and the eye meet, where the cheekbone is, and then along the hairline, just doing some large strokes. And then underneath the jaw, where the forehead is, and the eyebrows. I'll switch to a pink color and just add that in there too. Now again, this is just like really loose, pushing and pulling the color. In the Vibrant palette, I'm using this bright orange, as well as a red next to it. I'm gonna fill in those lips really orange, underneath the nose too, just by the cheeks again. We're just kind of doing layers going back and forth. Then maybe for some contrast, I'll use this dark purple from the Dark Shades palette. It's the 6th color on the second row, and I'm just gonna throw it into the hair just at the bottom, just kind of making really quick, short strokes. And maybe a little more under the chin and jaw. Then I'll choose an even darker purple from the Dark Shades palette, the 4th color on the top row, and just add in a bit more underneath the chin, and then maybe under the neck as well. I'm gonna turn coloring inside the lines mode to off. I'm just gonna ignore whatever is going on there, kind of make it our own portrait. Now you want to use a smear tool frequently in layers, so set the intensity at 100, and the size can vary. I'm just going to start off with size 45, and I'm just going to be blending and smearing and pulling those strokes, because you want to have sort of an expressive look to it, so moving with an expressive manner. And then you go back and just start to add in some more layers, so just switch back to the oil tool, and you can use the skin color that we used again, and continue just working in layers. So you can preserve some of the brush strokes, and then other times you can just completely smear them. You want to add high contrast to areas that you want to emphasize and leave the rest a bit loosely painted. So for example, highlight the eyes, nose, and lips with more detail. So I'm going to zoom into the eyes right here. I'm just going to be using that really dark purple that we had before and just color that in. And now I'm going to just lower the size down to like say 10%. And using that bright red from the Vibrant palette, I might just add a little bit to the eyelid and maybe under the eye as well, so we're emphasizing it, and then maybe some purple just above it. And then using that really dark purple again from the Dark Shades palette, let's just set the size to 1%. I would also raise the opacity a bit to about 65, and then just outline the eye on the inside so it's a bit darker. And then using white, just add a bright little highlight in the middle of the eye, maybe on the bottom too if you'd like. I'm going to add just a very tiny bit of black just to highlight the eyelashes. And for that, I'll use the pen tool, setting the size down to 1 on opacity at 100. I'm just going to trace those eyelashes just so we have them really emphasized. That's really the only place that I'll be using black. Maybe just trace a tiny bit around the corners of the eyes, but that's about it. Or maybe in the iris. Now go back to the oil tool. Another place you want to emphasize will be the nose, so you can lower the size down quite low for that. I'm using a bright red and orange on the nose and that dark purple just around here, and just continuing to add in some bright colors. Going back and just blending softly with the smear tool. So just continue in this way, blending and smearing using the smear tool. I'm emphasizing the lips in the corners too with a bit of red and even just a little purple, that dark purple for shadow. For deep shadows, I would use that same dark purple eye color that we used. So between the lips, a little under the eyebrows, a touch here and there in the hair. You can also use a bit of white if you need to brighten up a few areas, like maybe on the forehead and the tip of the nose, or right underneath the eye, right on the cheek. And then just to pull it all together, I'm adding in just little strands of red, just popping out of the hair a little bit here and there, and then blending again. Now to add in some little freckles for a little extra touch, you can select the splatter tool. Set the size at 28 and opacity at 30. I'm just using a medium brown from the Skin Shades palette and just tapping in a few little freckles. To enhance the final visual, I recommend removing the lines and applying the canvas effect. If you'd like to see more tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe to the Color Therapy YouTube channel so you don't miss any new tutorial videos. Thanks for watching our tutorial. You can get the Color Therapy app for free on the App Store.